Hey there, fellow marketeers. Mark here, and today what we're going to talk about is benchmarking. And the thing is, if you're not sure what benchmarking is, it's basically when you as a firm might compare yourself to other firms or your industry in general, or maybe within your company you might compare different products that are out there to kind of see if you're doing good in relation to your competition or bad in relation to your competition, these kind of things, all right? Now, there's a lot of different ways that people actually do benchmarking, and you can benchmark a lot of stuff. It might be sales, it might be followers on YouTube, it might be a profit margin, it could be, reach, things like that. There's all kinds of different stuff you can actually kind of use to benchmark against. What you need to realize is when you are doing benchmarking, when you are doing these comparisons, a lot of times you're not comparing apples to apples. Sometimes it's apples to oranges or apples to watermelons because there's such a big difference. So it's like if I would compare this Professor Wolters channel to PewDiePie. He's got 80 million subscribers. We have like 100. It's not really a realistic comparison, so it's not always super helpful. So you want to make sure is you're choosing like good things to kind of compare yourself to with your benchmarks, okay? So I want to kind of go through, a few different typical kind of benchmarks you might see. Probably one of the most popular ones out there is called a historical benchmark. So what you're doing is you're comparing like this period of time to a previous period of time. So if you hear like, oh, the fourth quarter results this year were higher than last year's fourth quarter results, they're comparing the results from the previous year. It's just a nice way to kind of base things on what happened in a previous period. And that can be helpful to see, are we growing? Are we shrinking? What's going on? Now the thing is, one of the caveats for historical benchmarking is you got to make sure you put everything in perspective, because if I compare, housing prices in 2019 to 2009, well, there's a lot of different stuff going on, because 2009 you had the crash and everything going down, and we're not necessarily crashing in 2019. So it's not really a fair comparison looking at historical prices in such a big time gap. So you do want to be careful with that. I know for college students, a lot of them, they use a historical benchmark from their high school grades. I got straight A's in high school. I should get straight A's in college. Well, the thing is, college classes and high school classes are very different. And so getting straight A's in high school does not mean you're going to get straight A's in college. So, maybe getting a few B's isn't that bad compared to what you're thinking. So you got to really put in perspective when you use those historical benchmarks, okay? Now, another benchmark you'll see kind of within firms is what we call internal benchmarks. This might be when we're comparing our own products, our own business units inside of our company and how they did. So Coke, the Coca-Cola company, might compare, how did Sprite do versus Coke this year? They might see us, oh, hey, in Lithuania, Sprite is actually selling better than Coke. Where nowhere else in the world that happens. Why is that? And that's the thing with these benchmarks. It gives you like a signal, like, wait, something's wrong here, or something's different here, or one of our products is doing better or worse. And it gives you an idea where you focus. So you can develop a strategy to maybe improve something versus that benchmark, or try to figure out, what are they doing that we're not doing? Okay, so you can have those things. So internally within your company, you can have those. And then another really popular one is what's called a competitive benchmark. And a competitive benchmark is when you look at your competition and you compare yourself to them. And the thing is, it's really important that you compare yourself to real competition. Okay, so if you're a university, you want to compare yourself to another university that's kind of like at your same level. Okay, if you're a corporation, you probably want to compare yourself to somebody in your industry that's about the same size and see how they're doing. So then you can be more realistic with your comparisons and your benchmarking. And what's cool about this one, the competitive one, is you really start to see is like, wow, they're a lot more efficient than we are. What are they doing to be more efficient that we could improve? Or we might see it's like, wow, I sold a lot more widgets in December than they did. What did we do that was different? How can we keep that up? And so it kind of gives you these signals when you know, hey, there's something to watch out for here, okay? Now, sometimes though, you can't really find like really good like competition to benchmark yourself against, or maybe you're too small or too big or whatever. So sometimes what you do is you use what's called a functional benchmark. So you kind of take the industry as a whole. So we might look at, like Coke might look at itself versus the soda pop industry or the beverage industry, right? Or I might look at myself and go, hey, looking at my YouTube channel, how am I in general versus YouTube? Am I up in the second quarter like most people are, or am I down? So it kind of gives you a rough estimate of the industry overall. Now the thing is, since it's so general, it might not be as helpful using this functional benchmark, because it's so broad. So sometimes you want to have a much more focused version of it. But for just kind of a general kind of idea, you might look at your stock portfolio like, how am I doing versus the S&P? How am I doing versus the Dow Jones? Okay, that would be a functional one, and you might have different stuff, but you want to make sure like, hey, am I at least doing as good as the S&P? And so that would be like a functional benchmark. And then Then you have just plain old generic benchmarks where you just kind of compare yourself to anybody. This is me comparing myself to a PewDiePie, okay, or some huge YouTube channel. Yeah, you know, like, what are they doing? Are they getting a lot of views this month, or versus me, or how is that working? Of course, they're getting a lot more views, but I can get an overall idea and say, how are things going, okay? So if I'm a small business and I'm looking to say, well, you know, the retail stores are doing bad this month, and so am I can kind of feel a little bit better, or the overall climate, is it good or is it bad? That can help me out just to find some general benchmarks to go against. So you might look at, you know, efficiency, you might look at profit margins, you might look at, you know, how is their delivery versus ours? Because that could be one of the things. If we're looking at it, do I sell through Amazon or do I sell on my own? And you might kind of just look at general, like, what are the satisfactory ratings for being delivered by Amazon versus companies that deliver on their own? Just to give yourself an idea of how things are going on. So you might just come up with general benchmarks overall, and that will really depend on what your industry is, what you're comparing, you know, your products and services and stuff like that, so you have those things. And the thing is, when you take these benchmarks, they're just to give you ideas. They're just there to help you figure out, hey, is there some kind of like bell going off that there's an issue here we're not doing good, we could get in trouble for, or is there something, hey, we're doing something well? Because you want to kind of compare yourself, because you can really learn a lot, because you'll see it's like, look, they're doing something, let's find out what they're doing and try to maybe mimic that to try to improve. And that's one thing I do like about benchmarking, because it does give you a nice kind of sense of where you are versus the world, and that can be very helpful whether you're a small business, a big business, or anybody, okay? So I hope this helped you know a little bit more about benchmarking. If you do want to learn more business videos, click that subscribe button and you'll get more in your feed. Bye from London, England.